The third principle of economics that we are going to talk about is the idea that incentives affect behavior. An incentive, generally speaking, is an inducement that gets us to act in a certain way. In the economic context, we think about incentives as the costs and benefits that result from particular choices that you make. And these incentives affect choices that are both large and choices that are relatively small. Let's think about a relatively large choice that many of you are currently considering or making. This is what career, what profession will you join when you graduate from college? When you consider what profession you will join, there are several factors that you will consider. You will consider the benefits of joining that profession, and you will consider the costs of joining that profession. Costs include things like how much longer do you have to stay in school. Costs include how much extra you have to pay in tuition. Costs include things like how long are the working hours in that particular profession. How conducive is that profession to other things that you may value, leisure time, family time, things like that. You also want to consider the benefits that different professions offer to you. These include things like salary, how much money will you be able to make? These include things like prestige. Is it a respected, prestigious profession, valued from a social perspective by people whose opinions you value, maybe your friends, your peers, your parents, your family. The incentives, they don't always have to be in terms of money. They include money, but they are not limited to money. The respect that you enjoy among your circle is very important. Your own self-satisfaction, how much do you enjoy that work, is very important. So these incentives, they affect behavior. They're not always money-based. So this was an example where a large choice is affected by incentives. Relatively small choices are also affected by incentives. So for example, your decision regarding whether or not you attend the next class. Well, attending the next class has both costs and benefits. The costs include the time you spend commuting, perhaps the cost of parking or a bus ticket, the cost of listening to me. Those are all costs. The benefits may include the enjoyable interactions that you have with your classmates or with me, what you learn from your interactions, the grade that you get, and as a consequence, how that helps your future career prospects. So those are examples of costs and benefits of your choices regarding whether or not to come to class. And sometimes the costs and benefits are different than at other times. So for those of you who are parents or have family responsibilities, if you have a child that is sick at home, that raises the cost of coming to class, right? Because you would have to leave a sick child at home or in somebody else's care to come to class. And generally speaking, if you have a sick child at home, you may decide that you will not come to class that day because the cost of coming to class that day exceeds the benefit of coming to class that day. And we've just been talking about individuals, in particular students right now, but incentives affect the behavior of everybody. They affect behavior in families, they affect behavior in societies, they affect behavior among politicians. If politicians are punished by voters and the people they care about, their donors, if they are punished by them for certain behaviors, then they will not engage in those behaviors. If they are not punished, if they are rewarded for certain behaviors, then they are more likely to engage in those behaviors. So the third fundamental principle of economics is that incentives affect behavior. The idea that the costs and benefits that result from a particular decision affect what decision will be made, and that when the costs and benefits of a particular decision change, then the decision is also likely to change. So for example, when taxes on cigarettes increase, people become less likely to smoke.